So it's been confirmed that basically she's been lying about her. she's capping on the autism. And I suspected this. I don't know what it because I don't know if you guys watched the original video I did, the 27-minute video that I did covering Amanda Seales. And when she was already talking about autism, I was like, wait, hold on for a second. I didn't call cap originally because I was just like, look, I was just saying I'm skeptical because there's this trend via TikTok with particularly liberal Caucasian women where they're just they're saying that they're autistic now. I don't know where this has come from. I just know via TikTok where there's this trend of white bitches, right? Right. There's this thing with these white 304s on TikTok where they want to call themselves autistic. They want to label themselves BPD. This whole nosing, you know, the whole self-diagnosing stuff that they're doing via TikTok. It's like really, it's very toxic, to be quite honest with you. But that's what they're doing. They're self-diagnosing on TikTok, and I've been seeing a lot of white bitches self-diagnosing themselves as autistic. I don't know why they're doing this, even though I kind of gave you guys the reason why in my last video talking about this. But I I don't know. But I'll say this. I'll say this though. I'll say this. Anything that can absolve women of accountability, whether they blame the zodiac signs, whether they blame it on a nondescript diagnosis, a disorder that is very not very broad, like BPD, right? Anything that they can use to absolve them from the actions, the self-sabotage that they do in their life, they're going to use it, even if it means using autism. Which is, to me, that is as low as it gets, in my opinion. And right here, Amanda Seales proves that she was capping about it because people don't really listen. So I was like, let me just give her the benefit of the doubt. So I take a listen. I'm like, something's just not adding up. So right here, you have Amanda Seales trying to explain herself. Shannon Sharpe says, but have you been clinically diagnosed? Yes, there is a clinical diagnosis for autism. He then hangs his head and exhaled in frustration because I did not answer his question. She says that is called deflection. Why? Because I was not going to be pressured by this man who was interrogating me with absolutely zero love for me into proving something to him that by his line of questioning, he had already committed to undermining. I understand my response may be confusing to some, but I am clarifying it as I did in my live, and that is enough. So right here, we're going to also show the video, her live, right? Where she, so right here, she's going to, this is a live video from her, and shout out to the YouTuber, what's his name? Kempire, right? So I don't know who that guy is, but he has the video of the live. And in her live, she's going to admit that she didn't get a clinical diagnosis. She didn't get a clinical diagnosis of autism. This is self-diagnosed, like those Caucasian TikTok bitches that we like to make fun of for doing that. She basically did the exact same thing.
Cut out at the end, he was asking, no, I have not been clinically diagnosed by a doctor because I'm not paying $10,000 to do that. And most people will tell you that at this age, you don't need a clinical diagnosis in that sense. And I think that's the other thing. It's like, we are so conditioned here in this nation.
Fair use.
To really only consider something in one kind of way. And I will get back to that.
First of all, I'm not an expert in.
That's a damn shame. And then she's going to go on, deflect. So let's watch the original interview again, if I may do so. Pause.
I recently was diagnosed as someone who has autism spectrum disorder, which is very difficult to identify in Black women because of.
So here she already lied. Well, technically she didn't lie because she's going to say, well, I didn't lie. I diagnosed it. I just didn't say who did it. And this is where Shannon Sharpe, people were mad at Shannon Sharpe for questioning it. And I was like, well, he is right to, that's what I said in the original. I'm like, he's right to question it. he's well within his right to question the like where it came from, because he probably saw what I saw. You have these random white bitches, liberal white bitches on Twitter, self-diagnosing themselves as autistic. It's like a whole thing of white bitches calling themselves autistic. I don't know where this is coming from. I know it's coming from TikTok, but I don't know why. I don't know why they're doing this.
Of racism.
So what exactly is autism spectrum? Because I hear people say you're on the spectrum.
It used to be called Asperger's.
Okay.
But that is no longer what it's called, because to my knowledge, Asperger was a Nazi.
Okay.
But what it simply means is that your brain functions in a different way. So you're neurodivergent, and you also have certain tendencies that are considered outside of what the neurotypical way of things is.
Okay.
And
so when Shannon Sharpe was hearing her saying that, he was like, wait a minute. and unfortunately, I think Black women, they need to have like a conference and really figure this whole thing out when it comes to education and who's smart and who's not. Because the amount of Black women that were on Shannon Sharpe's head talking about this conversation is way above his head. And I'm like, no, he's asking the right questions. And this is what you're supposed to do. You know, maybe people are just, you know, there's this thing where people just look at a former NFL player and they just think, oh, he's stupid, he's dumb jock, you know, nothing up there. And I'm like, no, Shannon Sharpe is actually very smart. And for him to be able to build the platforms that he's had with very little controversy and was able to really build his brand over time, has been very well thought, very well done. He saved his money over time. He's definitely one of the smarter football players to come out of the NFL, you know. But like I said, it was a lot of women in the comment section talking about this is way over Shannon Sharpe's head. But I'm like, no, he's asking the right questions.
And a lot of times that can have you present in a manner that people misrepresent.
Okay.
Which is the story of my life.
Okay.
I recently was.
So I don't know what. Let me see when.
But you can be brilliant without being autistic, though, right?
Hell yeah, 1000%. Okay. Absolutely.
But just
because I'm both. But I'm gifted and autistic.
Yes, but Amanda, sometimes, you know, just because you have.
So right here now, Shannon Sharpe has questioned people before, but for some reason, like I said, it was like if you question, like he's questioned damn near every person he's interviewed, he's had questions, or he's had his opinions. I remember there were certain interviews he's done with dudes in the past where he'll insert himself in, you know, speaking his opinion about LeBron James or one of these people that he really likes, and he'll really insert himself in. So that's not the first time he's done that. But for some reason, the problem is with women, they don't follow sports like that. So they're very unaware of Shannon Sharpe's personality or his biases or his tendencies. So, and by the way, I watched the full 3-hour interview with Shannon Sharpe and Amanda Seales. And I'm telling you, he was in the middle of it, he was exasperated because, first of all, it seemed like every single situation Amanda Seales finds herself in is never her fault. It's never her fault. She admits zero fault. It's always somebody did something to her, and it's just everybody's against her. But it's just like, first of all, when you're dealing with a pretty attractive woman, I'm not saying Amanda Seales is a model, but I'm saying Amanda Seales is attractive enough where where she can be in the industry, meaning she is attractive enough to where men will listen to what she has to say. She's attractive enough to where people will put her on the screen. She's light. She has the right skin tone in terms of she is light enough to where people won't mind putting her on billboards and stuff like that. So I'm talking about, so you're the problem everywhere. It's always somebody. I'm like, nah. Two things can be true. She could be a smart individual, but at the same time, you just be self-sabotaging. And that's, to me, that's what Amanda Seales has come across. She's just a person that she just self-sabotages herself. She's just a self-saboteur. I don't know if that's the right pronunciations or enunciations or whatever that is.
Have a special gift. That doesn't mean that, you know, you have a spectrum or you have just because you see things differently, it doesn't mean that you're on the spectrum or you. This
isn't related to simply how I see things. It's related to how my brain functions.
Yes. But just because your brain functions differently from, say, mine.
Yes.
But you can be brilliant without.
So he's just literally inserting his two. He's just like, well, maybe. And because you do that as a man to a woman, they're going to say you hate women. it's not even, this is not even about women or men. It's just him inserting his opinion. You just whenever a woman has an opinion, you just can't question it. That's what I found out. That's what I found out. Especially recently, I'm just like, wow. So it's just like, if a woman says something, like a man can't say that. Maybe why don't you think maybe it's that way? Maybe it's not this way. Maybe it's that way. And if you say that, they won't even address the point or argue. Right? They'll just say you hate women. Or you can't handle her intelligence. They'll say something like that, and you're just like, it's not that. he had Monique on. You know, Shannon Sharp had Monique on. He asked her way more tougher questions than he did with Amanda Seales. For him to not even mention the Myron Rolle incident showed you that he was really trying to protect her and really trying to be PC as possible. But you still have women talking about she was so tough on her. The conversation was way above his intelligence level. No, it's not. Just no, it's not.
About being autistic though, right?
Hell yeah!
So let me go next.
So you feel just because your brain functions differently that's what caused it, or there's a clinical diagnosis?
There are clinical diagnoses
for you.
Yes, there are clinical diagnoses for autism. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
When you take the test.
So this is where Shannon Sharp gets frustrated. He's basically asking, did you get a clear clinical diagnosis?
I know.
See, when you take the test, you're like, hold up. I've been thinking my whole life that this was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that I have to doodle, I have to draw all the time. I have to be doing things all the time to be stimulated. It's literally called stimming.
So you feel just because your brain functions differently that's what caused it, or there's a clinical diagnosis?
There are clinical diagnoses
for you.
Yes, there are clinical diagnoses for autism. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
When you take the test.
So she's deflecting like a mother. This is where Shannon Sharp gets frustrated. He said, did you take a clinical were you clinically diagnosed?
Mr. Wright was like, all right.
So that's basically where she's talking about him, quote unquote, getting frustrated, but you were capping. You were capping, you know? But yeah, Amanda Seales, you got caught. you got caught. That's why you turned off the comment section in your Instagram. This is why you ended up having to clarify that no, you didn't get a clinical diagnosis, because then you would have got caught lying again. And I don't know if we have time to go into the Myron Rolle incident, but she got caught lying on Myron Rolle's name. And then basically, because she got called out by Myron intelligently too, right? She then had to walk back the statement and start saying, well, I was just repeating what I heard about you. And then I was like, oh, here we go. Repeating shit that you really don't know about, and then you start self-internalizing it, and you project it, and you try to project that reality on him. And when he turns you down, now you want to go on a it's crazy. It's crazy how that works. And like I said, it was a lot of men giving Shannon Sharp stick for taking it easy on Amanda Seales. And he did. If you watch the interview, he actually did. But women are not intelligent enough to realize, like, women are not smart enough to be like, yo, he's just taking it easy on me. Or women are not smart enough to be like, oh, he's just being nice to me. Maybe I'm like they're like, when it comes to sympathy, oh, he's just taking pity on me. Let me not push my luck. I think women don't have that kind of detector in in them to be like, okay, he's just showing sympathy on me. Let me not push my luck. Let me try to do something else. I don't think, particularly American women, I don't think they have the filter to be like, they really look at it as, I'm doing good. I'm really doing good. You know what I mean? So yeah, Amanda Seales, she's a classic example.